Hello children, how are you? Hope good. This is Shahab Khan and I'm back with my new video on my YouTube channel Urbane Learning Way UL Way. Extremely sorry children, I could not make videos on scene 5 before the board exams. I'll do that later on. So I'm doing this summary of Act 5, outlining in brief the story as it unfolds in the play, hoping that it helps you in your revision of the act before the exams. So let's begin. So we know this is the final and concluding act of the play. So the resolution to the conflict has to be found. And we know what the conflict was like. The conflict was a power struggle in Rome which resulted in the death of assassination of Julius Caesar. Brutus and Cassius make an unsuccessful attempt at usurping the throne, usurping the power. Usurping is like trying to take it something with force, snatching of usurping the power in Rome, but in the end it's Antony and Octavius who are able to establish themselves as ruler of Rome. And how do they do this? They are able to do this. They are able to establish themselves by winning the final battle at Philippi, in which they were able to defeat Brutus and Cassius, and both of them committed suicide in the battlefield only. The act begins in scene 1 with Antony and Octavius entering the battlefield. They are ready for battle, and Antony instructs Octavius to take the left side of the battlefield, asks him to arrange his army on the left side and be attacked from the left side, but he refuses to do so. He says that he would fight from the right side, and this is very significant in the sense that it tells us of the shape of things to come, how things are going to play out in the future. We know Octavius established himself as the first emperor of Roman Empire, and he ruled for around 40 years. Okay, so that is history, but this is historical fiction. We are going by the fiction, like, okay, not by the fiction, by the historical fiction. Okay, so this is an indicator of things to come, how things are going to play out in the future, how the power structure in Rome would be like. Okay, Antony has played his part very well. Played his part very well in avenging the death of Caesar. Okay, but now it was time for him to step aside, and time for him to step aside and let Octavius be in the pole position. Let Octavius take charge of things as a ruler from there on. Okay, so that is why it is very significant. Before the battle, the warring parties meet and exchange words and insults. No real attempt is made at finding a political solution to the stalemate, to the problem, to the conflict. Okay, perhaps it was beyond. It has reached a point where it was not possible to find a political solution. Okay, and Octavius, calls for Caesar to be avenged, Caesar's death to be avenged, and he takes out his sword and vows and swears that he won't put the sword down until and unless all the conspirators, all the people who have killed Caesar, have been killed. Okay, he calls them traitors. Okay. After the exit of Antony and Octavius, Cassius tells Messala of his birthday, which was going to be his death day, we know, and this is great irony. Okay, and he also tells him of the omens. Okay, he had, on the way to Philippi, he had seen eagles perching and feeding from soldiers' hand, but today morning they were all gone, and they had been replaced by crows and ravens. Okay, and in consistency with Shakespeare's words of supernatural and omen, these are indicators of how things are going to shape out, how things are going to happen in the future, and these are indicators that they will get a little bit of initial success, but ultimately it's going to be defeat at the end. When Cassius had spoken to Messala, he spoke to Brutus and asked him what he would do if they were to lose the battle. They perhaps knew in the core of their hearts that they're going to lose the battle. And Brutus tells that he does not give a clear and simple answer, but he indicates that to protect his honor, he would do what needs to be done, and that means that he said that if it was required, he would kill himself, he would commit suicide rather than be captured by enemy soldiers. To protect the honor, Brutus would do what was required to be done. And then this is one of the few emotional moments in the play. There are very few emotional moments, and this is one of the few emotional moments where Cassius and Brutus depart. They say goodbye to it, they hug each other, they say goodbye to each other, and very emotional. They are very emotional because they know that they are meeting for the last time, and it was a very, very poignant moment in the play. In scene 2, we see Brutus committing a strategic blunder. Okay, and this strategic blunder nullified the initial advantage that Brutus's army had got over Octavius's army, and it led to Antony surrounding Cassius's unit from all sides, and and then it was led to their defeat. Scene 3, we see death of Cassius. And he made an error of judgment because of which he had to kill himself. An error of judgment which was very unlike Cassius. Cassius was very pragmatic, very rational, and all his actions were well thought out. But here he made an error of judgment. When his tents were burnt and he saw some troops advancing towards them, Cassius sends Titinius to go and find out whether they were enemy troops or friends' troops. And Pindarus goes on a higher ground to monitor the progress of Pindarus. And when he reports to Cassius that he has been surrounded and unknown people are cheering around him, Cassius understands that Titinius has been overpowered and overtaken, and so an imminent defeat was facing him in the face. So he decides to protect his honor. He decides to take his life, and he forces Pindarus to hold the sword so that he could run his body through it. And his last words were that Julius Caesar, you have been avenged, you have been revenged with the same sword that killed you. And Pindarus, after killing Cassius, to avoid unwanted questions, he decides to run away so that the Romans don't see him again. He does not have to face Romans again. So when Messala and Titinius, they come and discover the body of Cassius, they are very grieved. They lament his death, and he is called the son of Rome, the metaphor son which is set now. Messala goes out to give this tragic news to Brutus, and Titinius, in an act of anguish, in an act of despair, in an act of hopelessness, kills himself. When Brutus comes, he is very much grieved to see the body of these two soldiers, these two brave, noble Romans. And he also laments, he also grieves, and says that even Rome would be unable to produce again such great souls. Roman won't be able to produce. They were such great souls. The Roman qualities that they imbibed would never be found again, and Rome would not be able to produce such souls again. Brutus was at a great loss, but shows impeccable behavior. The pain that he was going through at the loss of Cassius, we can understand, but he does not show any timidity. In fact, perhaps for the first time, he shows such impeccable behavior in the face of such great adversity. Okay, and he tells that he wants to grieve more, but he does not have the time to do it. He would find time to weep after the war was over, hoping that he would win the war, and then he would grieve the way the death of these people, the mourning that the death of these people deserve. He would do it. He would mourn that much. Okay, this mourning was very less, according to him. He instructs that Brutus instructs that Cassius' body be taken to Thassos, and there he should be provided the funeral. So that if it was the funeral was provided at the battleground itself, he himself and the army would get demoralized. Okay. In scene 4, we see Brutus fighting second round of battle, and Cato shows exemplary courage, but he's killed. Okay. And Lucilius shows another great Roman quality, which is loyalty, and he pretends that he was Brutus, and because of that, the soldiers capture him alive. And when Antony sees when Antony sees Lucilius, he recognizes that he was not Brutus, but he does not order him to be killed. Rather, he instructs his soldiers to treat him well, because he was pragmatic. He did not want to kill people left, right, and center. Okay, he had that sense of maturity in him, and a sense of he was in tune with reality. Okay, he was not loaded with idealism and okay, he's a conspirator, let's kill him. Okay, he had reality that these people are so loyal that if their loyalty could be won over, he knew that they were going to win. If their loyalty could be won over, they would it would be a great asset in the future. Here we can see that the power of Caesar is quite apparent. Things are turning out the way Caesar would have wanted. He's taking revenge everywhere. Everywhere, the conspirators are being killed, the supporters of the conspirators are being killed, and Cassius has been killed, and now it's turn of Brutus. Okay, in scene 5, we see that the ghost of Caesar haunts Brutus in the battlefield. It continues to haunt him. He is bloodthirsty now. He wants. Antony may not be bloodthirsty, but Caesar, the ghost of Caesar in the play of Shakespeare, definitely was. Okay, obviously it's historical fiction. Okay, the ghost of Caesar in Julius Caesar play was definitely bloodthirsty and is hunting for his conspirators, hunting for those who killed him, and obviously the leader of the group was Brutus. Feels the power of Caesar's ghost and feels that he won't let him live, he won't let him achieve victory. So to protect his honor, he decided that it was time for him to take his life. Although people around him, they asked him to run away, so that they are able to save their lives. But Brutus says that no, he won't run, but rather it's time for him to die. And he requests Clytius, Voluminus, Dardanius to hold the sword so that he runs his body through it. But they did not pay heed to his request. Only Strato in the end listens to his request, and Brutus gets killed. So when Octavius comes, and he pays the kind of respect that Octavius had for Brutus, everyone had respect for Brutus, was evident in the words that he says there. Okay, he says that anyone who had served under Brutus, he would take them into his own service. And when Antony comes, he says that okay, of all the conspirators who conspired against Julius Caesar, who killed Julius Caesar, or who were party to killing Julius Caesar, they did it because they were envious. They were jealous of the power and glory which Julius Caesar had achieved and was achieving. But Brutus did it out for the good of Rome, for what he believed was good for the Romans. Okay. So that settles the question as to who was the hero of the play. Brutus definitely was the hero, although tragic hero. Then Octavius orders that proper respect should be provided to the body of Brutus, and a proper funeral should be provided, and he asks his men to go and enjoy the day because they had been victorious, and that ends the play. So as I said in the beginning also, the last act resolved the conflict of the play. The power struggle is settled now. We know that historically also we know that Augustus became the first king of the Roman Empire and he ruled for around 40 years. Okay, that's not of any importance to you. The third party in the triumvirate, his importance had already been reduced by Antony earlier in the play. So it was going to be Octavius at the center of the power with Antony around him, and enjoying his day. So that's it, children. I hope you would have understood the things well. If you have any doubts, you can post it in the comment section. Thank you for watching my video, and keep liking and keep subscribing to my channel, and all the best to all of you for the rest of your exams. Thank you very much.